episode of the Infowars News Blitz. A video shows the truth about the Anti-Trump Chicago Riot. Obama picked anti-gunner for Supreme Court nomination, and a Roger Stone article details how the establishment planned to rob Trump of the GOP nomination. That and a lot more, so stay tuned. For the week of, oh my god, I just had a brain fart. March 21st, 2016. This is the first article today here, and it's an article written by Paul Joseph Watson. The title is called The Truth About the Anti-Trump Riot, and it's actually a video, so without further ado, I'll play the video for you right here. So I'm signing off right now. Listen to it, alright?
Crazed, violent Bernie Sanders supporters, Black Lives Matter extremists and other leftist agitators crashed a Donald Trump rally in Chicago last night. Unhinged mobs assaulted people, attacked police, tore up signs, blocked ambulances, fired guns in the air and threatened to rape women. "Oh, but that's just their free speech," cried the media and Bernie Sanders supporters. Really? So if Donald Trump voters had crashed a Bernie Sanders event, assaulted his supporters, attacked police, tore up signs, blocked ambulances, fired guns in the air and threatened to rape women, you'd say that was just their free speech. Look at this Bernie supporter expressing his free speech. He's an anti-violence activist after all. Here's another peaceful Bernie voter, proudly threatening to physically attack Trump supporters. Here's a peaceful Bernie supporter flying a communist flag, a political system responsible for the deaths of hundreds of millions of people. So peaceful. Here are Black Lives Matter supporters wishing that someone had tried to assassinate Trump in Chicago. Look who showed up to voice his support for the anti-Trump crowd. Domestic terrorist Bill Ayers. And who did Megyn Kelly blame for all this? Donald Trump.
Trump's own rhetoric at his rallies, and in particular, some of the violence we have seen at his rallies, some of the violent clashes with protesters, who often are African American, has fed into what we're seeing here tonight.
Who did Rachel Maddow blame? Donald Trump.
Before this rally started, when we saw what was happening in the streets outside this event, and we saw what Donald Trump had done to incite violence, and I'm saying that deliberately, to incite violence from...
Alright, that's enough, folks. You get the idea. However, Roger Stone has the inside of this stuff, and we'll be going to him shortly, so here it is.
I think everybody in the country has now heard about these violent protests in Chicago, which are being blamed on supporters of Bernie Sanders. Alex, this is a false flag. These demonstrators are flying under a false banner. They are not Sanders supporters by and large. This is an operation directed by supporters of Hillary Clinton, paid for by George Soros and Move On, by David Brock at Media Matters from America, also funded by Soros, and also by the reclusive billionaire Jonathan Lewis. Now, Lewis was identified in the Miami New Times as a mystery man. He inherited roughly $1 billion from his father, Peter Lewis, and they had been the major financiers of the marijuana legalization efforts across the country. Jonathan Lewis, interestingly, withdrew his support of the Democratic National Committee over the immigration bill that he thought was unfair to gays. In any event, this is a Hillary Clinton operation. The idea here, very clearly, is to divide the Sanders economic voters from Trump. In other words, those voters who've lost their jobs because of NAFTA and all of the other globalist international trade deals that have screwed this country, they now realize these votes are potentially, when Sanders is out of the race, Trump votes, and therefore this is an effort to make Trump toxic, to make a Trump vote, to disqualify him racist, bigot. The whole thing is essentially a hoax. It's a gambit directed, by the way, by Brock. Now, David Brock was once a friend of mine. In fact, was a comrade in the fight for freedom. But he went over the dark side to the Clintons for money. Big, big, big money. And this is his little dirty trick. Unfortunately, they have leaks within their operation. My sources are the very best. The entire conflagration in Chicago is a Hillary Clinton operation.
Alright, thank you. You see? You see what this is? This is actually Hillary Clinton's bag of tricks. Trying to basically kill two birds with one stone. By dressing up her supporters to make it look like Bernie Sanders did it. But, not only that, to be precise, she also basically tried to hurt Donald Trump with this type of attack. So, she was trying to basically attack Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. You know, the two birds with one stone scenario. And it was actually Roger Stone's former friend that did this. So, just to be clarify that. But enough about that. Here is the second article here. It's an article written by Craig Neal, and the title is called Obama Elects Second Amendment Vote for Supreme Court. Underneath it says, expect to overturn Scalia ruling on Second Amendment if confirmed. Trust me, this is very dire here. Justice Mark Garland, Obama's pick to replace the late Anthony Scalia, which he absolutely killed, has a liberal view on gun rights, according to Judicial Crisis Network. Garland is the chief judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals and for the District of Columbia Circuit. He was nominated by Bill Clinton. Garland's nomination languished in the Republican-controlled Senate until after the election in 1996. As a Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the division of the Clinton Justice Department, Garland supervised the prosecution of Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols in the Oklahoma City case. He was responsible for a major decision in the case, including seeking the death penalty for McVeigh. The court ruled during its Supreme Court now, we're talking about now. The court ruled during its 2007-08 term that the Second Amendment protects the individual rights to oppose a firearm and that D.C. law banning handguns was unconstitutional, but they kept it going. However, in January, Obama announced a series of unconstitutional executive actions, including probing the sale of firearms between individuals. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, careful, sent a letter to the state demanding the federal government receive complete criminal history and records and criminal disposition information on prisoners disqualified because of mental illness and disqualified to crimes of domestic violence. But basically here's another clip from Mr. David Knight.
I want to also take a look at this new Supreme Court nominee. And when they said that he was with the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, that immediately rung a bell with me. I thought, oh, that's the Circuit Court of Appeals that is going to be hearing these edicts coming out of Obama and his EPA, trying to shut down the coal and oil industry. As part of the climate change agenda that they have, and they're trying to enact it by fiat, by executive order, by bureaucratic legislation. Remember that we said when Scalia suddenly died that the most important thing that was immediately coming up was this very case that is going to be coming before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. It was expected that the Supreme Court was going to overturn a favorable decision, favorable to EPA, favorable to Obama, favorable to the climate change agenda to shut down our fuels, rather. They expected that to be shut down 5-4. With Scalia dying, they said it's probably going to be a 4-4 decision, and the lower court decision will stand. So the EPA regulations will likely move forward. Now, isn't it interesting that this guy, who is at the crux of this power to push the climate change agenda, is now being offered as a Supreme Court appointee, perhaps as a perk, once he enacts Obama's climate change agenda.
Okay, thank you. This guy is really going to turn back a whole bunch of stuff. And to be honest with you, we all need to be up in arms and pray that this guy doesn't get in. And if he does, guess what? We're all going to be in a lot of trouble. I mean, it'll be like the nail in the coffin for the Second Amendment. But enough about that. Here is the last article here. The last article of the day here, excuse me. And it is an article written by, who else? The man himself, Roger Stone. This is an Infowars exclusive. The title is called How the GOP Plans to Rob Donald Trump. Underneath it says, Cleveland, ladies and gentlemen, will not be for the faint at heart. And you can see there's a video here of it too. Nice hat there, Mr. Roger. I've been coming from a meeting from the Republican establishment. You know, those guys who want to replace the voters want with what they want. The Republican establishment. I'm not supposed to tell you what I saw, what was said, so don't quote me. I've been to every Republican nomination since 1964, and I've been on the floor of every convention since 1972, including Ronald Reagan in 1976. The last time we consisted the GOP convention, so let's just say I know the ropes. And we're already getting ahead of ourselves now, but we're gonna keep going. The insiders have pondered over the rules of the GOP party. Well, hacked. They wrote these rules in the first place. Well, heck, they wrote these rules in the first place. And they have found a way to lie, cheat, and steal Trump out of enough delegates to force a second ballot. Here is how they plan to do it. Rule 16D. The bypass condensation of legislation, simply put, says that nobody can be delegated if he is formed a state where voters who are registered Republicans can vote in the Republican primary, like Massachusetts, where Trump got 22 delegates, not like New Hampshire, where Democrats and Independents are officially re-registered as Republicans going into the polling ballot. But basically, folks, I would read the whole thing here, but you can see it's a pretty lengthy article. And basically, the broker convention has already begun, according to David Knight. And to be honest with you, they may try to steal this. If they do this, I mean, this will be brazen. And people are not going to put up with it. I mean, I'm not kidding you. They may actually riot in the streets just because of it. I mean, if they go against the popular vote, trust me, it's going to be one hell of a fight. So we need to get behind Donald Trump before they pull this stunt, and call them out if they do so. But anyway, that's all the articles I have for you today. If you want more about the article, please go to the link below or go to Infowars.com or PrayThePlan.com. Thank you for 100 articles. That's just what I have read for you today. This is the Infowars News Blitz. I'm Info Gun. I'm live on feed rate number 3. Please like, subscribe, and donate. Bye-bye.